It seemed like just another quiet afternoon in Osaka. The wooden door of a small bakery eased shut with its usual gentle click. Nothing appeared out of place, but inside, something unspeakable had happened. Inata Magico, a young woman with big dreams, who had built her career from nothing but determination and bare hands, was murdered in the very place she loved most. Her bakery wasn't just a shop. It was her sanctuary, her second home, and now, it had become the scene of a chilling tragedy. Magico's sudden and brutal death didn't just plunge her family into unimaginable grief, it sent shockwaves across Japan. Outrage spread quickly, fueled by disbelief that something so horrific could happen to someone so full of life. At the center of the storm stood Miyamoto Hiroshi. He was a man who once knew the victim. A familiar face with a polite demeanor and an unremarkable past, or so it seemed. But behind that calm exterior, what truly lurked? Was it a meticulously planned act, a reckless impulse, or a long simmering resentment finally brought to a boil? What first appeared to be a straightforward case dragged on for years, tangled in bizarre details, controversial court hearings, and a whirlwind of emotion, rage, sorrow, and a deep, aching despair. Behind the 20-year prison sentence lay the wreckage of a broken family, a dream left unfinished, and one haunting question that remains unanswered. Why did her life have to end in such pain? Today, we're diving into a case that shook Japan, a chilling crime involving a beloved karaoke bar owner and a lovesick regular whose obsession turned deadly. This is a tragedy born from one-sided love, where boundaries were crossed and obsession spiraled out of control. And as always, before we begin, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to support the channel. Thank you so much. Amid the fast-paced rhythm of Japan's bustling cities, a uniquely local form of entertainment emerged, a karaoke bar. But these spots are more than just places to sing. They've become vibrant hubs of social connection. Here, patrons gather around the bar or small tables, sipping drinks, chatting freely, listening to impromptu performances, and of course, stepping up to the mic themselves. It's not just about music, it's about community, expression, and a shared night of release, unlike the larger, more commercial karaoke rooms. Karaoke bars tend to be smaller, cozier spaces. There's an intimacy to them, a kind of warmth that keeps regulars coming back. In many ways, they feel less like businesses and more like tight-knit clubs tucked away in the heart of the city. These places aren't just escapes from the city's frantic pace. They're the starting point of countless stories. In Osaka's Kita Ward, near the Tenjinbashi area, there was a karaoke bar that stood out from the rest. Even its sign and name hinted at something special, something personal. The owner, Inata Magico, was a young woman full of quiet charm and quiet strength, polite, down-to-earth, and filled with passion. She had a way of making everyone feel welcome. Her warmth drew people in, and the bar quickly became a beloved local spot. But no one could have predicted what was coming. On one fateful night in 2021, a shocking event shattered the comfort and peace that once defined this small, cozy place. On Monday, June 14, 2021, an uneasy tension hung in the air outside a karaoke bar in Osaka. The owner, Inata Magico, hadn't been seen or heard from since the previous Friday night. Calls to her phone went straight to voicemail. No one had been able to reach her, and as each hour passed, worry began to spread like wildfire on Saturday evening, the second day of her disappearance. A regular customer stopped by the bar, only to find the doors firmly shut. That was strange. The place normally opened at 3 p.m. sharp. What made it even more unsettling was the silence online. Magico always posted updates on social media if something came up, but this time there was nothing. By around 1 p.m. on Sunday, a staff member showed up for work, only to find the bar still locked up tight. Something didn't feel right. Trusting their instincts, they called the police immediately. Authorities responded quickly, reviewing the building security footage. They spotted Magico entering the premises on Friday afternoon. That was the last time she was seen. There was no footage of her ever leaving. A close friend of Magico later contacted the building management, and was able to access the bar using a spare key. When the door finally swung open, they were met with a heartbreaking sight. Magico had been killed. The medical examiner confirmed she had suffered visible injuries from an attack. Her time of death was estimated to be Friday night 3 days earlier. At the time of her death, Inata Magico was just 25 years old, petite, barely 5 feet tall, with a gentle, soft-spoken nature. She left a quiet impression on everyone she met. Her childhood had been marked by hardship. She was forced to drop out of high school to take on part-time jobs and support herself. But with extraordinary determination, she taught herself, passed the high school equivalency exam, and eventually enrolled in a distance learning university program to study psychology. Magico dreamed of becoming a psychologist, a dream she pursued, while working tirelessly to support herself and help her family. But alongside that ambition, she also carried a more personal dream: to one day open a small karaoke bar of her own. She took on any job she could to save money, even working shifts. At a funeral home, about a year before the tragedy, she began pouring her heart into making the bar a reality, scouting for a location, crafting design ideas, decorating the space, and even creating the promotional posters herself. By May 2021, Magico's dream finally came to life. Her bar officially opened its doors, a milestone she had worked so hard to reach. She named the place after her favorite animal, the seal, and the entire space reflected that affection. Playful seal-themed decorations filled every corner, adding charm and personality. She even had plans to design staff uniforms to match the theme. In conversations with friends, she often shared her hopes, her challenges, and the emotional weight of starting something from scratch. Every detail carried a piece of her heart. From the very beginning, Magico's bar faced a serious challenge: the COVID-19 pandemic. Friends and family had their doubts. Opening a new business in the middle of such uncertainty seemed risky, maybe even reckless. But she never wavered. Magico had a clear vision. She wanted her karaoke bar to be a warm, safe space, especially for women. She offered special discounts to female customers, thanked every guest with genuine warmth, walked them to the door, and often snapped photos with them to capture the memory. She was building more than a business, she was building a community. Though she wasn't naturally outgoing, Magico gradually became more confident through daily interactions with customers. Her communication skills grew stronger with time and effort. One friend recalled that no matter how close you were to her, Magico always spoke with gentle courtesy. She never pushed anyone to support her business, never made anyone feel obligated, and that's exactly what made people feel so at ease around her. She also made a point to support nearby restaurants and bars, quietly showing up as a loyal customer. It didn't go unnoticed. The local community respected her deeply for both her kindness and her quiet integrity. But in a cruel twist of fate, Magico was murdered inside the very bar she had poured her heart into. At the scene, investigators discovered her phone wrapped tightly in aluminum foil, an intentional move to block signals and prevent any communication. The bar's security camera memory card had been removed, and the lockbox containing the door key had been taken inside and hidden. All of it pointed to a chilling conclusion. The killer hadn't acted on impulse. They had deliberately tampered with evidence to delay discovery. Whoever did this seemed to have a disturbing understanding of how to evade an investigation. Just 4 hours after the report was filed, police had already identified a suspect through surveillance footage. His name was Hiroshi Miyamoto, a 56-year-old man. He came from a well-off family. His father was a lawyer, and Hiroshi himself had graduated with a degree in electrical engineering from a prestigious national university. He was also a father, one daughter in high school, the other already in her 20s. To his co-workers, Hiroshi Miyamoto came across as a quiet, reserved man. Though he earned a decent salary, he lived frugally. He owned only 3 dress shirts and a single suit, which he wore to work every day, in line with the company's dress code. He waited for weekends to do his laundry, used bleach to keep his shirts crisp, and had his suit dry cleaned to maintain a tidy appearance. Miyamoto was a regular at Magico's bar. Every visit, he spent at least 10,000 yen, about 70 United States dollars, often lingering until closing time. Other customers remembered him well. He frequently monopolized the microphone, belting out off-key renditions of anime songs from One Piece or hits by the idol group Arashi. His singing was, by all accounts, awful in most karaoke settings. Dominating the mic like that would be considered rude, and unsurprisingly, many patrons had complained about his behavior. Between January and June of 2021, Miyamoto visited Magico's bar a staggering 83 times on average. Every 2 or 3 days, he was also present at the bar on that fateful Friday night. Given his work in the mobile phone component industry, it's likely Miyamoto knew how to block a phone signal using aluminum foil. Suspicion quickly fell on him, and soon, damning evidence began to surface. Traces of Magico's blood were found in his bag and on his shoes. His fingerprints were discovered on the tape used to bind her tape he had purchased 2 weeks earlier at a store near his office. Even more incriminating, his wedding ring with Magico's DNA on it was recovered at the scene. Forensic tests later confirmed that some of the wounds she suffered matched the shape and imprint of that very ring. 1 week after the murder, Miyamoto was formally arrested. He admitted to being at the bar that night, but denied killing Magico. As news spread, some regulars weren't surprised. One remarked, "I always knew something like this would happen." Phone records and witness testimonies revealed what many had suspected. The relationship between Miyamoto and Magico was far more complicated than it appeared. 5 years before the tragedy, Magico had worked at another popular bar where she was well-liked and often received gifts from patrons. Miyamoto had been a regular there for 4 years. According to the former bar owner, he always came alone, briefcase in hand, showing up early and visiting about once a week. But once Magico started working there, everything changed. His visits became more frequent, and he began requesting her specifically to serve him. It was clear, even then, that his interest in her was far from casual. There was one incident that left a lasting impression on those who witnessed it. One evening, the bar was unusually crowded, and Magico had to briefly assist another customer. As soon as Miyamoto saw this, he abruptly stood up and shouted, "That's enough!" before storming out in a fit of anger, leaving everyone stunned. He often brought her small gifts, mostly sweets and chocolates. But according to another regular, Magico didn't even like sweets. That detail said a lot. Miyamoto hadn't been paying attention to what she truly liked, only projecting his own ideas onto her. It wasn't affection, it was obsession. Magico's phone was flooded with lengthy messages from Miyamoto, most of them one-sided. He'd text her about the weather, his meals, or just to say hello. Even during storms, she rarely replied, and when she did, her responses were short and distant. Still, he kept texting, calling relentlessly. Most of his calls went unanswered. On social media, his obsession played out in full view. He was always the first to like, comment, or share anything posted on Magico's personal account or her bar's page. Though no one said it out loud, all the staff noticed that Miyamoto's interest in her had crossed a line long ago. When Magico eventually left that bar job, their relationship seemed to sour. At one point, she even told him firmly, "Don't come to the bar anymore." The reason was never made clear, but it was obvious their parting hadn't been friendly. When Magico opened her own bar, the two reconnected. On May 18, 2021, Miyamoto showed up for the grand opening. Before arriving, he had sent her a message, praising her courage for starting her own business. But with the bar bustling that night, Magico didn't have time to greet him properly or see him out. Afterward, Miyamoto sent her a text laced with self-deprecating humor and guilt. Magico replied, politely thanking him, but that simple gesture led to a flood of unwanted attention. Dozens of missed calls followed. Miyamoto later claimed he just wanted to congratulate her again and hear her voice. But the intensity of his behavior frightened her. She waited until the next afternoon to respond, carefully crafting her words to avoid upsetting him. Still, his obsession escalated. feeling ignored. Miyamoto called again, this time with an angry tone, pressing her for answers. It wasn't until Majiko finally said, "This is bothering me," that he reluctantly agreed to limit his calls to no more than twice a day. By early June, Miyamoto began crossing even more boundaries. He started calling Majiko by a nickname, Maju, a term that implied a level of closeness she never agreed to. He invited her out for dinner and planned a small birthday celebration. Even bringing champagne, Majiko didn't want to go. She was uncomfortable being alone with him. But in the end, she reluctantly agreed. During the entire evening, she kept her distance. When it ended, she made her boundaries clear, but Miyamoto didn't seem to care. He ignored her discomfort and continued harassing her as before. At one point, Majiko confided in a friend, "There's this customer who keeps bothering me. I'm so tired." The friend was shocked. Majiko never complained about her customers, ever. That one comment said it all. She was exhausted, and she'd had enough. One regular customer recalled that every time he visited the karaoke bar, he would see Miyamoto sitting alone at the counter, quietly drinking. On one occasion, he overheard Miyamoto say, "Tomorrow, I'm going to my daughter's graduation." The comment struck him. Majiko and Miyamoto's daughter were nearly the same age. Yet while one was his child, the other had become the object of his obsession. And despite having such a meaningful event the next day, Miyamoto still stayed out drinking until late at night. On Majiko's phone, there was a customer list with personalized notes, details she'd kept to offer better service. Next to Miyamoto's name, her note read, "Lower mic volume when he sings karaoke." But next to the name of the friend who later discovered her body, she had written, "Hope we stay together for life." Those two lines said everything. The contrast between them revealed how differently she truly felt. The relationship between Miyamoto and Majiko was undeniably strained, but never openly hostile. So why did he kill her? That question remains unanswered. What is certain, though, is that he played an active role in her death. On the night of the murder, Miyamoto visited the bar as usual, staying until closing time, as was her habit. Majiko let the other staff leave early and stayed behind to clean up. By that point, only 3 people were left in the bar: Majiko, one employee, and Miyamoto. Before leaving, Miyamoto posed for a photo with her at the door. During the photo, he leaned in uncomfortably close. Then he left, appearing satisfied. At around 9:30 p.m., the final employee left, leaving Majiko alone in the bar. But in truth, Miyamoto had never actually exited the building. After taking the elevator, he descended into the basement and hid in the stairwell. He waited. When he heard the last employee leave, he knew the bar was empty, except for Majiko, and then he came back. Once investigators gathered enough evidence, prosecutors officially charged Miyamoto with committing a serious and intentional homicide. However, because the murder occurred in a closed private space, with no surveillance footage or eyewitnesses, the outcome of the trial remained uncertain. Experts pointed out that the central question in the upcoming proceedings would be this: can it be proven that Miyamoto was the only possible perpetrator? Police conducted a meticulous review of everyone who had entered or exited the building during the critical window. They also examined the alibis of all potential individuals connected to the scene. In the end, their findings were clear: Miyamoto had both the opportunity and the means to carry out the crime. In the days leading up to the trial, Majiko's family held a deeply emotional memorial to honor her memory. Her father, already living with a physical disability due to a leg injury, took her death especially hard. The grief was so intense it broke him further. Shortly after, he was diagnosed with cancer. The pain for this family never came alone. Meanwhile, Miyamoto's father publicly expressed his hope that his son would confess, accept responsibility, and bring the trial to a close. Still, the family braced themselves for a long legal battle ahead. Majiko's mother spoke to the media with a quiet, aching voice. Since the day her daughter died, she said, time had felt frozen. Every single day was long, heavy, and unchanging. She recalled a dream where Majiko came home, arms full of dirty laundry, calling out, "Mom!" as if nothing had happened. She had helped her daughter wash the clothes item by item, over and over again. But the pile never got smaller. Exhausted, she blurted out, "You should go back to your own home now." And just like that, she woke up. The moment she opened her eyes, regret flooded her. She had finally seen her daughter again, even if only in a dream, and she had told her to leave. 1 year after the horrifying crime, in September 2022, the Osaka District Court officially opened the trial of Hiroshi Miyamoto. He stood accused of committing a premeditated and violent murder. The prosecution laid out the timeline in meticulous detail, presenting a series of damning evidence, including live chat records between the defendant and the victim. They argued that this was not a crime of passion, but a calculated, deliberate act. Miyamoto had brought tape, a weapon, and had clearly intended to destroy evidence afterward. It was a plan, a cold, methodical plan. By the end of their case, prosecutors asked the court to sentence him to life in prison. The defense, however, pushed back hard. They argued that no murder weapon was ever recovered from the scene, and no surveillance footage captured the actual moment of the crime. Without a clear visual record or the weapon itself, they claimed the case lacked definitive proof. The evidence, they said, was circumstantial, strong, yes, but not conclusive. Their request was bold. They asked the court to declare Miyamoto not guilty. Throughout the trial, Miyamoto sat in silence at the defendant's bench. When the judge asked him routine questions, his name, his date of birth, he refused to respond. It wasn't until his lawyer leaned in and whispered something in his ear that he finally muttered, in a tired, detached voice, "What's the point of all this? If it's just for politeness, then please, don't bother." One by one, the witnesses took the stand. The first was Inata Machiko's boyfriend. He shared that even while they were dating, Machiko continued to receive unwanted calls from Miyamoto, mostly about gifts he insisted on giving her. She found it exhausting and invasive. He also revealed that Machiko had a nickname for Miyamoto, the weather report. Every morning, without fail, Miyamoto would send her a weather update. For most people, being mocked like that might sting. But in court, Miyamoto didn't even flinch. He sat lifelessly, staring blankly at nothing, showing not a trace of emotion. Then came Machiko's older brother, Inata Yusuke. He didn't come to attack or shout. He came with one plea, that Miyamoto show remorse, that he light incense for his sister, that he offer, at the very least, a sincere wish for her soul to rest in peace. After speaking, Yusuke suddenly stood up. Immediately the guards tensed, preparing to intervene. But he didn't lash out. He bowed deeply, instead his voice trembling as he said, "I beg you, please don't hurt Machiko any more than you already have. Let her rest." Amid the heavy tension of the courtroom, Hiroshi Miyamoto suddenly broke his long silence with a loud and startling declaration, "Please sentence me to death." The room froze then, without warning. Miyamoto launched into a 50-minute monologue, fiercely rejecting every accusation made by prosecutors and witnesses alike, especially those claiming he had harassed Machiko. He admitted to sending her multiple messages every day, but insisted that he had always checked with her about whether it was acceptable. According to him, Machiko had repeatedly said it was no problem. He even claimed that just days before the murder on his birthday, in fact, they had met in person and discussed this very issue. Machiko, he said, had shown no signs of being upset. As for the countless missed calls, Miyamoto said he only called so often because Machiko wasn't picking up. And the nickname weather report? He argued that he had only sent her a weather update once, and she'd replied, "That's useful, thanks." So he'd kept doing it every morning. He also explained the food photos he constantly sent her. They were simply reminders for her to eat well, to take care of herself. One of the more surprising claims came when Miyamoto addressed the existence of Machiko's boyfriend. He insisted without hesitation that he had no idea she was in a relationship. According to him, just a month before the incident, he had asked Machiko directly whether she was seeing anyone or married. Her answer, he claimed, was a firm no. He also strongly denied having romantic feelings for her, In his words, he wasn't in love, he just wanted to be friends. His frequent visits to the bar where she worked, they weren't about being near her, he claimed. Rather, he said he admired her resilience, her courage to open a business in the middle of a pandemic, and he simply wanted to show support by stopping by when he had free time. That was all. When questioned about the accusation that he had used the key box to break into the bar and tamper with the surveillance footage, Miyamoto firmly denied it, calling the claim completely false. He argued that while he was aware of the presence of security cameras in the bar, he had no knowledge of what kind of system they used or how it worked, making it impossible for him to erase anything. As for the night of the incident, Miyamoto claimed that it was Machiko herself who locked the door. He explained that she'd had a frightening experience with a male customer in the past, someone who had followed her home and smashed her window. Since then, she had become extra cautious, always locking the door when alone. Then there was the matter of blood found on the inner lining of his suit jacket. Miyamoto challenged the evidence, questioning why the stain would only appear inside and not on the outer layer. He insisted it was all part of a setup, that he was being framed to support his claim. He pointed to what he saw as clear signs of a cordial relationship. According to him, Machiko had never shown discomfort around him. She even came to his birthday celebration, gave him a bottle of champagne worth 7,000 yen, and a small cake. Surely, he argued, that didn't sound like a woman trying to distance herself. As Miyamoto wrapped up his long-winded monologue, he repeated his earlier plea. Please sentence me to death. He then refused to answer any further questions, but the prosecution wasn't having it. They immediately fired back, accusing Miyamoto of trying to shortcut the legal process without taking responsibility. He had asked for the death penalty, they argued, yet never once explained a motive for the crime. To them, this wasn't remorse, it was evasion. He shows no signs of genuine regret, one prosecutor stated firmly, and the severity of his actions goes beyond what any fixed-term sentence can justify. Throughout the trial, Miyamoto remained visibly irritated. He frequently whispered to his defense attorney, his agitation barely concealed. He denied the charges but still insisted on receiving the death penalty, an obvious contradiction that left many in the courtroom unsettled, even angry. After a tense month-long trial, the Osaka District Court finally delivered its verdict. The defendant, Hiroshi Miyamoto, was found guilty of taking another person's life and sentenced to 20 years in prison. The presiding judge acknowledged that Miyamoto had developed an intense emotional dependency on Machiko, and that his unreciprocated feelings could have served as the motive behind the crime. His actions, the judge stated, were particularly cruel and carried a high degree of severity. However, the court noted a lack of clear evidence showing that Machiko had explicitly rejected his feelings or displayed unusual behavior in the 3 months leading up to the incident. As a result, the exact motive remained somewhat ambiguous still. The court made it clear that this uncertainty did not change the fact that Miyamoto was the perpetrator. All aspects of the case had been thoroughly examined and weighed to reach a fair and measured decision. Given the circumstances, the 20-year sentence was deemed appropriate. But Miyamoto wasn't satisfied. Immediately after the ruling, he filed an appeal. Miyamoto's actions sparked a wave of speculation in the public. Some believed he was resentful for not receiving the death sentence he had so dramatically demanded. Others thought that, deep down, he still saw himself as innocent and, therefore, deserving of freedom. But the truth? Perhaps only he knows. Despite filing an appeal, Miyamoto's contradictory nature surfaced once again. He outright refused to appear in the appellate court, even after repeated attempts from his lawyer and others involved to persuade him. According to his defense attorney, Miyamoto is a man of intense pride, someone who puts his own ego above all else and seems incapable of considering the feelings of others. December 1st would have marked Inata Machiko's 26th birthday. A year and a half has passed since her death. Yet her family remains trapped in an unrelenting grief. Her father, now bedridden with late-stage cancer, was only able to attend the initial trial from his hospital bed. Still, he voiced a quiet determination to hold on. Just long enough to hear the outcome of the appeal, her mother spoke to reporters, saying the family continues to cherish the calligraphy pieces and heartfelt thank you letters Makiko once wrote. In their living room, a banner hangs in her handwriting. "Mom, I love you. It's still there." And anyone who lays eyes on it can't help but feel their heartache. From a young age, Machiko had a deep love for animals. She adored seals, cats, dogs, and just about every small creature she came across. At one point, she even said her dream was to work with animals when she grew up. Recalling these memories, her mother offered a gentle smile before her voice faltered. She admitted that, back then, she used to wonder whether her daughter truly understood what animals were trying to say or do. Not long before the tragedy, the two had dinner together. Machiko seemed especially cheerful that evening, brighter than usual, even glowing. When her mother speaks of that night now, emotion floods her words. "If only she had something to me. Maybe I could have helped." She doesn't finish the sentence. Tears fall before she can. Regret hangs in the silence, raw, heavy, and heartbreaking. The brutal death of his younger sister had ignited a quiet fury in Inada Yusuke, but rather than let that rage consume him, Yusuke channeled it into something else, a pursuit of truth. In preparation for the upcoming appeal trial, he made a difficult decision. He would visit Miyamoto Hiroshi, the man accused of murdering his sister, not once, but 7 times. Each visit lasted about 20 minutes, carefully recorded from start to finish. In the beginning, Miyamoto sat in stony silence, so Yusuke changed tactics. He began sharing stories from his own childhood, trying to bridge the gap with some sliver of shared humanity. Slowly, Miyamoto began to speak. When asked why he had filed an appeal, Miyamoto answered coldly, "Because it's my right." But during their final visit, something shifted. Miyamoto sat quietly for a moment before finally saying, "I've done something I can never take back. I'm sorry." It was the first and only time he showed remorse to the victim's family, a rare, fleeting moment of accountability. Nearly 2 years had passed since the tragic night that took Makiko's life. The pain, though dulled by time, still left deep scars. But something had shifted in her family. Machiko's mother, once consumed by grief and fury, made a surprising choice. She wrote a letter to Miyamoto Hiroshi, the man accused of killing her daughter. It wasn't a letter of rage. Instead, it began with an unexpected note, a birthday greeting. In soft, deliberate words, she expressed her deepest wish to meet him again, face to face, though she had once hated him with every fiber of her being. Her letter carried a calm but resolute plea. "Please appear in court." It wasn't just a request. It was a message, one of strength, of dignity, and perhaps a final reach toward justice. And somehow, her words seemed to reach him. He wrote back a handwritten letter in it. Miyamoto described his earliest impressions of Makiko, how incredibly capable she was, how she managed to pay for college on her own without any support from her parents, and how tirelessly she worked to support her family. At first, he wrote, it was admiration, pure and simple. But slowly, something deeper took root. I could never measure up to her, he admitted. The letter on the surface read like an honest reflection, a quiet recognition of her strength. A man overwhelmed by someone far beyond his reach, and yet, not a single word about the murder, not a hint of regret for what he had done. Not even an attempt to explain why. That silence spoke louder than any confession. To Machiko's family, it was unbearable. Their anger, long buried beneath layers of grief, flared to the surface once more. In May 2023, the appeal trial finally opened at the Osaka High Court. Throughout the proceedings, Miyamoto Hiroshi clung to the same narrative, that it was possible a third party had committed the crime. He never wavered. But he looked different now, much older than when he'd first been arrested. Disheveled, worn down. He showed up wearing a loose black athletic shirt, the same dark glasses he always wore, but his hair had thinned, the gray more pronounced. His skin sagged around his face, deeply lined and pale. Time had left its mark, but not enough to erase the story he still refused to tell. At the appellate hearing, Hiroshi Miyamoto's wife took the stand, and what she shared caught many by surprise. She testified that she was the one who managed all of the family's finances. Every time Miyamoto received his paycheck, he deposited the entire amount directly into a bank account she controlled. He kept just over 30,000 yen a month, around $210 for personal use. Considering that each of his visits to karaoke bars cost around 10,000 yen, $70, and that he went frequently, she said she had no idea how he would have afforded it. Until the day the crime happened, she never once suspected that he even had enough money to visit a bar, let alone become a regular. To her, it was unimaginable. After the incident, she recalled seeing her husband with his hand wrapped in bandages. When she asked what had happened, he brushed it off, saying he'd accidentally cut himself 3 days later. Something else struck her as strange. Miyamoto suddenly threw away his old backpack, the one he had used for years, and bought a new one. Not just any bag, but an expensive one. For someone as notoriously frugal as him, that was wildly out of character. Still, she said if her husband was truly guilty, she would be willing to personally offer the deepest apology to Machiko's family. And yet, deep down, she just couldn't believe it. In all the decades they had lived together, he had always been gentle, polite, and modest, never once showing any signs that he could be capable of something so horrific. Meanwhile, the court remained firm in its conclusion. Hiroshi Miyamoto was the killer, beyond a shadow of a doubt. The 20-year prison sentence handed down in the initial trial was deemed appropriate and well within the sentencing guidelines. Supported by clear reasoning, after 2 months of deliberation, the appeals court upheld the original verdict. In addition, Miyamoto was ordered to pay 298 million yen, roughly $200,000, in damages to the victim's family. Immediately after the verdict, Machiko's older brother, Inada Yusuke, didn't react with the anger many had expected. Instead, he whispered, straining to pull each word from the depths of his throat, "All I can do now is search for some small salvation, because Machiko is never coming back." In 2024, 3 years after the horrifying case, Yusuke shared in an interview that his sister Machiko's room remained untouched, as if she were still alive. The shoes she used to wear, the watch she wore every day, all of it still sat exactly where she left them. That watch, a cherished gift from their father, was something she never left home without. Now its glass face is scratched. The numbers faded, silently telling the story of a tragedy that unfolded. During his presentation, Yusuke further revealed that although the court ordered Miyamoto to pay 298 million yen in compensation, the family had only received 6 million yen so far, roughly $40,000. Because of this, they joined the Japanese Association for the Promotion of Compensation for Crime Victims, persistently urging the government to establish a system that provides advance payments to victims' families. Machiko's beautiful life and dreams were brutally cut short. Right inside the small bar she had built with her own hands, her father lies bedridden, consumed by the pain of waiting. Her mother drifts through tear-stained dreams, and her brother bows his head before the court, out of a humility so quiet it aches. Each of these images paints one undeniable truth. This crime shattered an entire family. What was his true motive? No one really knows, and maybe we never will. It remains a wound that refuses to close, a question that lingers in every courtroom whisper, every sleepless night, and in the hearts of those left behind. Did Hiroshi Miyamoto ever truly feel remorse? Or was it just another mask, carefully worn, expertly timed, to buy sympathy without ever giving the truth? And more importantly, how many other women are living like Machiko did, trying to be polite, trying to be professional, trying to survive while inching closer to a fate they never deserved? Because this wasn't just one woman's tragedy. It was a quiet warning, a mirror, a reminder that obsession doesn't always come with threats. Sometimes it comes wrapped in small gifts, polite texts, or a familiar face you just won't take no for an answer, and by the time someone finally listens, it's already too late. So we ask again, how many machicos are still out there waiting to be heard? We'd love to hear your thoughts, so drop a comment below and join the conversation. And before you go, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you won't miss any of our deep dives into the most chilling true crime cases. Thanks for watching.